Now, the rumor mill for Assassin's Creed Shadows is running wild. And honestly, you kind of expect it because considering the game has been delayed and people are trying to figure out why and what's going on and how fucked is Ubisoft and blah, blah, blah. Considering all of this, it goes to show that Assassin's Creed Shadows is probably going to end up just as bad as Star Wars Outlaws, if not worse, considering all of the backlash it's been getting. But there is one rumor that has recently come out that's got the conversation going, and I want to talk about it. And this rumor is that Assassin's Creed Shadows has originally featured a male Japanese main character, and that the game could be delayed even further, and that people chose to switch to Yasuke because of Black Lives Matter.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me right. They chose to go with Yasuke because of what happened during, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, and all that amazing virtuous stuff that they love to constantly talk about. And it would honestly make a hell of a lot of sense considering that this game has been in development for a while now, and it was in development around that time, and they decided to go from a male Japanese protagonist to Yasuke so that they can virtue signal, about, 4 or 5 years too late. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says a new rumor for Assassin's Creed Shadows claims that the game originally featured a male Japanese main character and that the game could be delayed even further after the game's developer Ubisoft recently delayed it to February of 2025. Now, I do find this to be pretty believable, and the reason why is because look at Ubisoft's track record with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Every single character that was used, granted, was not historically real, but every single character that was made up for the games were based in the world of which the game took place, right? Or the country or the origin of place where the game took place. So every single character that was made was racially accurate. Every single character that was made was accurate in terms of, their physical body representation, all that stuff. Every character was accurate to where they were, actually partaking in the game. This is the first time where they were like, gotta make it black. It's like, okay, it's really historical character though. Nobody cares. Ubisoft delayed the game to February 25 at the same time it announced it might barely break even during its current financial year. Now, I also think this is what a lot of it has to do with because they really can't take 2 L's, bro. Some people even pointing out 3 L's, because you got to remember Skull and Bones came out this year. Their Quad A game, the game that is essentially Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but like 1/3 of the game, and they're trying to sell it to you for maximum price and live service. Yeah, it's all fucked. All of it's fucked. They can't take 3 L's in a year. Now, a new rumor from YouTuber Endymion, who alleges to have spoken with a number of individuals at Ubisoft and who have worked with the company in the past, claimed that the game could have been delayed even further and that the game originally featured a male Japanese protagonist instead of Yasuke. Endymion shared, "My source told me, however, that they heard February 2025 is simply a placeholder release date as of now. Apparently, this is because Ubisoft is scrambling and they need certain key talent in order to assist on a Q2 game release," which if you don't know what that means, there's 4 quarters to a calendar year. So Q2 means Ubisoft has something that they think will hit that is coming out later in the year that they need help on. So because talent at the studio is working to make the future release come out more smoothly, Shadows is not being given the extra hands it kind of needs right now. So like I said, the release date may actually be pushed back even further, he reiterated. Now, I want to keep something in mind. People were trying to say that the reason why this game is being delayed is because it's a buggy mess. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because Ubisoft knows their customer base, and no offense to Ubisoft customers, diehard Ubisoft customers, they're okay with getting fucked, okay? It's very clear that they're okay with getting fucked because the very few people who support Ubisoft games day one, they must know at this point that those games will be broken, guaranteed, on day one every single time, and yet they keep buying the games anyway. So the people who are diehard supporters for Ubisoft, they're perfectly fine with getting fucked. So I don't think the game getting delayed has anything to do with the bugginess of the game. I think there's a lot more politics at play here, at least in, business politics behind the scenes. Endymion then revealed his source told him that the game originally featured a Japanese male protagonist, which obviously would make a lot more sense. I was also told that they were originally saw the game, there was indeed a male Japanese protagonist with their own finalized art and even animations. They don't know if this character will be reintroduced to replace Yasuke, but they are skeptical that Ubisoft will actually remove Yasuke altogether due to the whole political, backlash they'll get from journalists and so on. He added, yeah, they're not getting rid of Yasuke. They're not getting rid of Yasuke. There is no way. Can you imagine like how big of an L that would be? We have seen so many L's during Gamergate 2.0. I can't imagine anything would be bigger of an L than Ubisoft race swapping Yasuke with a male Japanese protagonist and admitting that they were wrong and giving us all that ammo. It's just fucking impossible. Can you imagine the meltdown that games journalists would have? Can you imagine the articles from Alyssa Mercante, Kotaku, IGN, all these people? It would be fucking insane. They will never do that. They rather double down and lose hundreds of millions of dollars than actually say they were wrong and switch Yasuke out for a real Japanese protagonist. Then it says next he shared details about the game. They did say the game's first act is heavily story-driven until it eventually opens up to your more traditional open-world Ubisoft experience, and that the big hurdle there, if they were to remove Yasuke, would be to practically change almost everything about Act 1, so to speak, if they were to remove the character entirely. So they could remove Yasuke with this already done, but throwing aside Japanese character, it's a big maybe. But they said that they weren't sure of it yet, he said. They also told me they heard rumblings that Sweet Baby Inc. may have had a hand in Shadows, but they can't confirm that 100% yet, so take that allegation with a huge big fat shot of skepticism right now. And it's ironic that you say that because the person who got caught running damage control for Ubisoft is trying to essentially say that they never worked on Shadows. You know, the person, the Japanese trans person or whatever that said they worked for Sweet Baby Inc. for a couple of years, but they promised they never worked on Shadows. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all, man. These people want to pretend like they do absolutely nothing. And that's the most amazing thing. They are professionals at doing nothing, supposedly. As for when this Japanese male protagonist was sidelined, Endymion revealed the game first did include a male Japanese main character, but they were swapped sometime during 2020, according to my source, for Yasuke instead. When asked why Ubisoft chose Yasuke over this male Japanese character, Endymion revealed they said that Ubisoft was heavily influenced by the socio-political events at the time with stuff like, and no, I'm not kidding, George Floyd dying, the riots, and Black Lives Matter exploding in support. Now, this I can believe, okay? Because every single white leftist liberal, whatever you want to call them, hardcore leftist, hardcore liberal, hardcore psychos, they all were just like treating George, they still do, by the way. They were treating George Floyd like he was Saint Floyd, right? They were treating him like he was the Pope. And that was like their martyr. That was their way into identity politics, into every black person's mind. And when they looked at George Floyd, they just went super emotional. Their hearts broke. They were like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this. These poor oppressed black people. They lost their mind. So can you imagine Ubisoft, which is primarily white, okay? It's a French company, primarily white. Can you imagine them watching what was taking place during George Floyd, right? Can you imagine them watching the news and like all of them just sitting in the office and crying and saying, we got to make our protagonist black. We have to send a message to the world. Change the protagonist right now. Find me a black samurai. They absolutely would do something like that. So it's not too shocking to think about that. He added, Ubisoft may have opted to include Yasuke in order to pander to identity politics because of Black Lives Matter. Of course they did. And even if it didn't have to do with George Floyd, it has to do with it now, right? We're in election year, and forget the election year. Just overall, people love pandering to black people, right? Like leftists love pandering to black people because unfortunately still for the black community, the majority of them do absolutely eat that shit up. And I wish they didn't. You know, Latinos are slowly but surely pulling away from that nonsense, and I'm happy to see that. But, you know, black people still unfortunately eat that shit up like it's nothing, and they love being virtue signaled too, at least the majority of them anyway. So it's unfortunate, man, because I know a lot of black people, and I'm not one of those people that says, I have black friends. I just genuinely know a lot of black people, and a lot of them do not think that way. They are 100% more successful than these losers will ever be, and it's just sad to see that there's still such a big majority that are falling into this nonsense. So ultimately, whether or not this rumor is true, I do 100% personally believe, in my opinion, that there was in fact a Japanese male protagonist at some point in time, and Ubisoft decided to say, fuck it, let's make it black for whatever reason. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate if you get to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.